Welcome to Suburban Warrior, the podcast that will impact, inspire, and empower you to transform your mindset and become the badass warrior that you are. I'm your host and fellow warrior, Crissy Pfeiffer, former clinician and corporate marketing exec turned multi-passionate entrepreneur, performance and life coach, and mom to 4 not-so-little warriors. Each week, I will bring you honest conversations with inspiring guests to share their stories of resilience, optimism, success, and simple yet effective strategies so that you transform your thoughts and change your behavior to get the results you want in your life. You will be empowered to take action, warrior up, and believe in you. Let's do this. What's up, warriors? Welcome back to another episode of Suburban Warrior Podcast. I am your host, Crissy Pfeiffer, and I want to thank you all for joining me again because this is certainly a crazy time. And while we've all been forced to slow down, the world is changing at such a fast pace around us. And each day we're faced with a new reality, and we're all doing our best to get through, right? To warrior up, show up, and continue to be the best version of ourselves, whatever that looks like right now, because it's certainly very different than it was just several weeks ago. And that's okay. So with that being said, I am really thrilled to welcome today's guest because I've known her for many years, and I can tell you she certainly knows how to warrior up for herself and all of those that she serves. Her inspiration is to help everyone achieve performance-driven results, regardless if you're an athlete, a runner, a spinner, a mom, dad, bride-to-be, whatever it may be. Carrie Wightman has built a strong reputation as a fitness instructor in the Philadelphia area for over the last 20 plus years. She is also an on-air fitness host on QVC, where you can watch her live discussing over 25 plus fitness products. She is a mom and an amazing lady to be around because her energy is contagious. And I think we all need a dose of that energy right now. So welcome, Carrie Wightman.
Oh, Crissy, I'm so excited. Hi, everybody.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to have you here. I mean, oh my gosh, literally just hearing your voice and all of your energy, it like raises my vibration instantly. And that must be why I'm always drawn to you and to your classes because I just love being around you. So I'm so excited to share your energy with all of my listeners because I truly mean that. I think we all need a dose of Carrie Wightman in our lives right now. And I've been lucky enough to get it because I've been taking your Instagram live classes, which we'll get into later. But I'm glad that everyone else who listens to Suburban Warrior will now get to know you.
Aww.
So let's do just that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I mean, we'll start off with the energy aspect because everybody, I will tell you, as a suburban warrior, I think every one of us who are born somewhere, probably, whether it's the city or the suburbs, it truly speaks to the way you're born. And we all have a special gift. And my mother used to tell me to get the heck out of the house until I got rid of my energy. And
I love that.
And run around, and I literally wasn't even allowed in because if I was in the house, I'd be running around on the couches. So I was born with this energy, this zest for literally running and physically being active with whatever I did. So I played so many different sports. I started off as a gymnast. I moved on to, softball. So I played golf competitively, tennis competitively. I skied, I ice skated. I then went on and out of all these sports, I was told in 7th grade to pick a sport and it was going to pay for our college because I'm one of 7 and my folks, needed help. So I had a decision to make. And of course, I chose something that probably was not going to actually happen in their eyes, but I chose lacrosse. And before I graduated from high school, I became an All-American lacrosse player. And I did get a full scholarship in lacrosse and played 4 years in college for a Division I university. And I will always say that, no matter what, I've connected the two: positive thinking, energy, support from your family, also pressure from people, practice makes perfect, and all of those elements came out of, my sports and my desire to perform with a physical skill. And that was applying myself with whatever I could physically to all the sports I played. That being said, now going into the suburbs and going into, where I am currently, and meeting Miss Crissy, who is also a wonderful warrior, I graduated from college, and I was about to start my first job in corporate sales. And I've had a long, long career in corporate sales. And I missed truly within a day of not playing a sport. And I always did aerobics off season. So then I got into teaching everybody. And I'm talking a week after I was graduated from college, and I was waiting for a week to get started with my job. My mom looked at me and said, "Oh my goodness, you're eating so much, Carrie. Like, you need to get physical." Like,
don't you love that? The honesty from the mom, right?
Oh,
you always get the brutal honesty. Thank goodness someone's there to tell you.
And so all of a sudden she goes, "Why don't you do that aerobics that you used to do off season from lacrosse?" And I said, "Oh, that sounds like a great idea," thinking, Crissy and everybody, that I would just like make that table that for a little bit later. I went in the shower, came out of the shower, and my mother goes, "I called the local YMCA. They're looking for an instructor. I'm going to drop you off." And that's how I got started, everybody. I actually, that same day, went to the YMCA, and they started teaching me choreography. And in a week, I actually was in a gymnasium teaching my first aerobics class. So I always taught aerobics, 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. at night, worked in sales. I absolutely love sales. I found that even when I was a kid, I enjoyed selling because I was part of my parents' business, and it was just in us. It was in us. When you're from a big family, you have to sell yourself to them to even like get in to play a game. And so it was funny because I've done two things that I've absolutely fell in love with, and that's my passion for being active and active with people. So think about this. As a fitness instructor, I'm actually feeling like I'm playing a sport every single time that I'm teaching a class. And I've been a trainer forever. I mean, truly, I've trained people, but I've also been trained. And I've always wanted to keep myself at a very high level with high expectations, because I've just felt that when you are part of something, you can keep getting better and better and better, but it's the people you're with. And I don't want to let people down. So it's been really fun because I've gone through so many life changes like us all. And with sports and with fitness, and the ability to feel better physically has always, always spoke to me in that emotional and mental mind well-being. And it spoke to me with the fact that, you know what, Carrie, you may lose a game. You may not feel like going and teaching. You may not have the energy to do it today because I am getting older. But no matter what, I always show up. And because I have to answer to people. And that accountability has given me the most motivation and the most inspiration to keep going. And I know for a fact, Crissy, like I will never, ever stop teaching. Yeah. It's in me. I feel like every class I teach, it's like my last class I do. That's why I always have so much fun, because I know tomorrow I'm grateful if I have tomorrow. And that I have to live for the moment. And I do plan for the future, but it's always been in my mind that, I got to do this now. I got to win the game now. And I've been able to pass that on to all the people that I teach and instruct and train for the last 20 plus years. But, it's been a great time, and I get to meet people like you.
Well, I can attest to the fact that you do absolutely show up for the people, because, I've been taking your classes for years now. And how many times I can remember you like running in, like coming to like 8:30 or 9:30 class, and you literally like just got off the air from all night being at QVC. Like I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I had like 8 hours of sleep and I'm barely going to make it through this class. And anyone who takes your class knows like you do every single move with us, and you talk through it, and sometimes you do it on no sleep. So I can certainly attest to your passion and your commitment and your accountability, not only to yourself, but to, like I said, those that you serve, and those that count on that class to be there. But right. So you mentioned that you think about fitness as being a part of a team, which I totally, absolutely get that, because I am very much a social being. And that's why I love going to the gym and working out in a group class, because yes, someone is instructing you, but there is that accountability and that fun when you're in a class with other people. You're absorbing their energy. You're not just going to like stop doing it because you don't feel like it anymore. You're just going to push yourself harder. And there's so much of that. So, obviously in these crazy times, we're not going to the gym. So that means you're not teaching in the gym, and we're not seeing people. So how has that impacted you? I mean, I'm sure your life's been impacted in many ways, but that's one of them, right? Like not going to the gym and seeing people.
So it's one of those things that the second this happened, I got to experience so many people because of the classes I teach at Lifetime, because of my private fitness studio that I train, one-on-ones and group people. I get to see the impact immediately of what am I going to do without you, Carrie? And there was a sense of responsibility also going on QVC, where I am speaking about fitness as a fitness expert to 90 million people. And I have been doing that.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
And I also have the opportunities to do it in Toronto. I do it in the UK. And, my feeling is if I can help one person, then that's all I need. So I also have a 13-year-old beautiful daughter who, and a dog, a golden retriever, that's enough company for a person like me. I need to slow it down as well, but I have a responsibility to help everybody that has come into contact with me in the past, who may hear about me right now, and for all the people in the future to always make sure you're taking care of your health through movement. Yeah. When we were born, the first thing, you've got to literally do is start, getting that the body's moving somehow. They start getting you to move your legs. Mommy's doing it. We're doing it all. We're moving our child, and then they crawl, and then we walk, and then they run. We can't stop everybody. So the responsibility was immediately I started off with just 2-minute idea exercises. Then it grew to like 5 minutes. And this is immediately, it's been 4 weeks now, Crissy.
I know. Oh, I know.
and you know what? We're going to lose track, but every day when you start seeing, okay, I'm doing a little bit. And I knew that if I can give everybody a little bit of movement, it's going to give me peace of mind, but everybody else peace of mind. Also, if people find out about me through other folks just because they're saying, hey, are you doing this? I'm offering this for free. I'm doing that because we're all stressed. I mean, about finances, about not being able to get out and socialize, life being different. Am I going to get this virus? Just things that are going in our minds that normally fear isn't entering our mind as much as it is right now. And I really do feel that it's my responsibility to help people with what I've learned, how I've been able to impact people's lives in the past, and offer that right now as a vehicle to get us through this time. So yes, staying busy, of course, is always, pretty easy for me. I do have to actually work on a lot of different projects with QVC and my own brand. And I'm developing, obviously, a lot of different workouts for my classes in my studio, but I'm enjoying immensely seeing how many people continue every single day, join me on Instagram under Carrie Wightman Fitness and join my free classes. And they're normally around lunchtime or around 5 p.m. But when I see, if it was one person, Crissy, I'd still do it.
I know you would. I know you would.
And it's funny because like my daughter, she'll kind of say, oh, I don't want to do it. And then all of a sudden she doesn't. And she's like, afterwards, she's like, thank you.
Yeah. She's
thanking me and I'm thanking her. And we have the opportunity to do that. And then it will spiral into, let's go take a walk outside.
Yeah.
It'll spiral into, let's cook dinner together. There's things that our parents did, their parents did, that didn't take a virus to do this.
Right. Yeah. Cause oh yeah, absolutely. And I know, so the free classes that you're offering on your Instagram Live, like twice or sometimes even 3 times a day. Yeah. As I've been taking them, my husband joined in, like the strength and myofascial release one. I actually made it mandatory for my kids one day. I texted them all. I mean, we're all in the house, but that's how, I texted them and said, mandatory class. This is not a request. This is mandatory. It was the first time I had them take your class. And I said, if you're late or if you don't show up, I'm taking your phone for the rest of the day. So of course it was a 1:00 class. I hear them all coming down the basement, and they did it. And they were like, oh my God, we loved it. They all loved it, which I knew they would, but of course I have to pressure them into it, but they all loved it. So they've been taking your class. I mean, your classes are for everyone. I think that they're free, and they're all different times throughout the day. So within the week, you can always find a great class. And I know that it's really helped with my own sanity. And I know that you even said on your lives, like, you're doing it for you as well, because it's your way to continue to serve and see everyone and be there. And it's how you're part of the way that you're dealing with this virus as well.
Right. Days are flying by because of it. I mean, I continue to, after class, talk to everybody and answer, questions, or help them with ideas, or get things in their homes that they're thinking about buying for whatever reasons. And, as much as that's, maybe called extra work, it's not, because I want to make sure everybody is able to get the right help. This is a moment for me to kind of actually just really stop and think about, how can I help? Even making a call to somebody who needs help, just to talk to somebody. And I am just enjoying this time of even getting to know people on a more intimate level, even though it's through Instagram. It's been so helpful to just chat and talk to people and see how they're doing. And I always want people to feel their best. We have one body, and I will stress to everybody, just a little bit goes a long way every day. You can't believe how you can morph and change your body physically after a year, after 2 years. And as you get older, by the way, it can get better and better and better and better. So it's not like, oh, I'm not 20 anymore. I'm not 30 anymore. Well, look, I teach, teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. I know the gamut. It is literally like, there's people where I'm like, whoa, look at you 20 years later, from 20 to 40. You look amazing.
Yeah.
Or 40 to 60. You look amazing.
Yep.
So just the idea is right now, take it day by day, but just don't give up. Don't give up. You're doing your best. And I do want you to do it right, which is why I'm really instructing and giving you all the encouragement and guidance during the classes. So the more you can take the classes, you're going to see that, your form may even be getting better. Your breath may be even getting it better. And your own ability to learn about what you like and what you don't like is going to increase. So it's just been fun. And I hope that, people will walk away and continue their health journey in a way that's going to impact them even more positively.
Yeah. So I know you and I have had conversations before about the very intimate and important connection between mind and body.
Yeah.
But I love that on your website, Carrie Wightman, it says your mental transformation paves the way for your physical transformation. And, obviously I am way on board with that statement, because I certainly believe that mindset is everything. So can you tell us a little bit about how you're keeping your mindset in a positive place right now with, fears and worries that you're facing? Because I know that you are staying pretty optimistic, or maybe you're not sometimes, and maybe you can speak to that, because obviously we all have fears and worries.
Sure.
I mean, I know there are times throughout the day where I'm like, you know what, I'm so great. I love being with my kids and connecting, and we're doing it in such a way now that's so different than, running on the hamster wheel and driving them and constantly moving. But then the next minute you're like stricken with some fear of like, oh my God, when is this going to end? What's the new normal going to look like? Are we going to get sick? And I think everyone's experiencing that.
Well, I mean, one of the reasons why I wanted to join you today is because I love the idea of you creating this outlet for warriors. And like I started off with saying, we're all warriors in our own way. And I mean, I've been through a lot. I mean, no matter what, like, I can't even tell you guys, traditional life is something that I grew up with, and I'm anything but traditional now. I mean, when you go through divorce and you're raising your child, a lot on your own, and you've gone through, having to really step up and financially, take care of yourself and others, by the way, and make sure that you're capable of being there for people that you love, and they would do everything for you and you would do everything for them, i.e. my siblings and my mom and dad. And, you have a focus that when something like this happens, you have to continue to say to yourself, you know what, I've got to keep my attitude. And I do believe in your attitude defines 90% of everything. It's the way you actually think about things versus allowing things that let you take you down. You got to keep that attitude in check. And it doesn't have to say like, oh, hunky dory and pretend and pretend and pretend. But the reason why I brought up my past is because, I was running away from things when I was younger because of not being experienced. And whether you're young or older or experienced or not, you don't have to run from anything. You got to look it in the eye and you got to face it with courage. And you've got to do your best with how you can handle it at that moment. Ask yourself, okay, well, what am I going to do? And of course, I always say, recommend is you turn to somebody. So right now, am I turning to somebody? Yes, I am. I have FaceTime my best friends. I talk to my mother each day. Thankfully, my mom and dad are still around and alive and kicking. And I'm very thankful and grateful for that. I have, of course, my little one who, just looking at her face, I've got to always check in with myself because I've got to lead by example. And then also, you think about the future. This country is, I think big picture, Crissy. So you guys all listening in, I hope this really may make you realize that we live in the best country in the entire world. Nothing's going to take us down. So I have every belief in this world that, you can start a project right now and see. You don't have to have the answer. But start a project right now that you may have put on the shelf, or tabled it. Just like I thought I was going to table that, being an instructor. And I didn't. I did it that day. Start something today. And next thing you know, it's actually going to build to something. And in 1 month right now, that's all you have pretty much until we start getting back into real life. It's going to actually turn into something. And next thing you know, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, my purpose has changed with a passion that I've always wanted to be in. There are a lot of people right now unemployed. So start something at this moment. You won't even realize that it will turn into something. You talk about it with your mom. You talk about it with your friends. You talk about it with your family. You talk about it with people that you bump into. It just starts to morph into something. And before you know it, you're going to have maybe a whole new existence. But that's the way my brain thinks. And if I can impact people with that too, futuristic thinking is the best way. Because then when things like this happen, you can deal with it. And I'm dealing with it with, I went onto a website called Mixed Tiles on Sunday night. And it's a great little app. And you can actually really quickly download photos. And then the photos will go into these little frames. And then the frames have the sticker on the back. And then I can put the frames up on my wall. Crissy, I've been meaning to do that for over 2 years.
Yeah, of course. I know those, right? Isn't it crazy how you have an idea, something like that? Now I know what you're talking about. I have seen those before. And it probably took you maybe half hour most to order them. But you've been putting it off for 2 years because you just literally haven't had the time.
Yeah, I haven't made
it a priority.
Space to get into that world because of the hamster wheel. Yeah. And I'm like, we just had a trip back in Thanksgiving and I'm like, it was a dream come true for me and my daughter. And I first started off with those photos and I was like, oh my gosh. And so even just now, going through things in the house, I was able to go through clothes yesterday and give it to a family that definitely needs the clothes. They have a lot of kids, different ages that my daughter's, grown out of. And I was able to drop it off at their driveway. And, I'm trying to also think of other things. I have bikes that my daughter's outgrown. And I just, at this point, I want to help people with, Easter's on Sunday and maybe dropping something off before a Sunday to a family that could actually surprise their child with something. So, there's a big picture. There's a lot more going on than us really getting stuck in the fear, but the fear does happen at moments and it's okay. I try to think about the positive reinforcements that we have through our phones. And I do go into that and I Google inspirational quotes. I Google motivational, things or things to lift your energy up.
Yeah.
And lastly, I'll say always, Crissy, is food, because from a young age, I've always eaten well. I'm talking about real food. So you are what you eat. And that goes hand in hand with the ability to have the energy that I sustain. So I will say, with us all being home and cooking now, it's great to teach each other how to bake, your children, all that stuff. You should, but the real cooking, I mean, real breakfast foods, real lunch foods, real dinner, whether it's one meal, doesn't matter. But I'm such an advocate on eating well and having, your carbs with your protein and your vegetables, and making sure you're getting enough water, really providing yourself with water. And that will take you so far. It will take you so far with being able to focus on what matters and how you feel.
Yeah. I mean, food is fuel. And I try to tell my kids that all the time, like whatever you're putting in your body, that's exactly how it's going to perform. And I do think that's a great valid point about taking the time to right now, especially if you have kids that are a little older that can get it, to teach them how to cook or allow them to cook. We've actually, that's one of the things, I mean, we're really trying to come up with some unique and exciting things here to keep us going. And so each night a different kid is cooking, and they have to look around, see what we have in the house, prepare the menu. They put the menu up at noon. And then each night they have cooked, and, it only takes several nights. We have 4 kids, but it's actually, they had so much fun doing it because they have to cook and they have to figure it out. So I do think that cooking and,
that's awesome.
And thinking about and being intentional about what you're eating and putting in your mouth now more than ever, because let's be honest, my kids are just circling the kitchen all the time and strolling because they're bored. They're bored
right.
eating,
Right.
So I think that is such a valid point. So thank you for bringing that up, because you're right. Eating.
Yes,
what
no
we're putting
problem.
in our mouths is huge. So, okay. So I want to personally thank you for all that you're doing during this time. I know it's not easy for anybody right now. And, I think taking, what you do and your expertise and showing up for people every single day on Instagram and doing all these classes, it's been wonderful for me. It certainly has changed my quarantine because like you said in the beginning, maybe I didn't know you were doing live, or I didn't catch it for the first couple of weeks. So it's been the last 2 weeks that I've been doing it. I feel so much better, just mentally, physically, everything. So thank you very much for doing that. So guys, if you want to check out Carrie's classes, she posts on her story every morning, the times of the classes. Go follow Carrie Wightman on Instagram. And
Carrie Wightman Fitness.
Carrie Wightman Fitness on Instagram.
Yep.
Okay. And Wightman is Wightman, Wightman. So you will find her there, and you can also check out our website, which is carriewhightmanfitness.com.
Yep.
Right. Awesome. Carrie, thank you so much for being here today. And
thank you, Crissy.
It was so great to talk to you. And I'm going to see you tomorrow on Instagram.
You are the best. I love this. And all of the Suburban Warriors, I really wish you, just a healthy and safe quarantine period. And I really say kudos to Crissy for being able to offer this valuable information from different people from all over the place to help us get through this. And I can't wait to tune in.
We're all just staying connected and warrioring up together. And for joining us today. So if you liked today's episode, please, please, please drop us a rating and review. We would so much appreciate it. And we will see you next time.